Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and my space. For those of you who are new, my name is Racquel, and all of you who are clicking back on for the basics in astrology, Astrology Made Easy, thank you so much for coming back. Today we are going to be talking about retrograde planets and what does it mean when we hear that a planet is in retrograde. So at the time that I'm making this video, we currently have Pluto in retrograde, and we're going to be coming into Venus going retro. We're going to be coming into Saturn going retrograde, and I think Uranus going retrograde. There's going to be a bunch of and Mercury too. We all know the doomed Mercury retrograde. There's going to be 6 planets doing this in May, coming into the retrograde, because we're going into the retrograde part of the year, so, or a big retrograde cycle right now. So I thought this would be the perfect time for me to hop on and talk about what does it mean when a planet goes retrograde. Well, in the sky, what the planet does is it basically stations, which means it stops its journey going forward, and then it starts to go backwards. And that's what it looks like in the sky. That's what astrologers say, but they don't really go backward. They kind of, I don't know how to explain it. But it's basically, it looks like the planet is going backward. And so what this actually means in astrology is that whatever planet is going retrograde, all the forward movement that they've made through the sky, all the lessons that we have taken, we have done from the energies from that planet as it goes through, when it stops and then starts to go backwards, we kind of relive those lessons over. But instead of taking action on them, we reflect on them. Like, for instance, I have Pluto in retrograde in my 12th house of dreams and spirit. Right now we are currently in a Pluto retrograde. So let's just say my dream world has been crazy. I've been having some crazy dreams lately. But that's all about me reflecting on what's going on in my life, how I've transformed. When Pluto goes retrograde, instead of transforming how you look on the outside or how your your environment is, instead of transforming that way, we transform on an interpersonal level. We transform on the inside. So that's what Pluto retrograde represents. It's some type of transformation, soul transformation within yourself. It's where you really reflect and do that shadow work to make yourself, evolve yourself higher. Now, if you guys are into tarot, my May monthlies is all about the Pluto retrograde and like the shadow work that you have to do. So if you want to go ahead and check out your signs video, go ahead. I won't hold it against you. So what happens when, like, Uranus, let's take for Uranus for example, when that goes retrograde? What does that mean? So Uranus is an unpredictable planet. It comes in and it comes in and shakes things up. It's spontaneous. So anything that might have like happened right off the blue or out of the blue, or like accident or something like that, when Uranus goes retrograde and it starts going back through it starts going backward in the sky, what you're internally doing is you are introspecting things that are going on with inside yourself. So this is where sudden health problems can come up. Maybe you have neglected certain health problems internally. That could come up. Anything that is quite shocking or quite, I don't know how to word this. It's that sudden, shocking, oh my God, I didn't realize that about myself moments. That's what Uranus retrograde is when you figure out those things about yourself that you didn't know were there. They just come up out of the blue and you're like, oh my God, it's like those aha epiphany moments. Like if you think about it, Uranus is the future forward thinker, right? And the reason why it's the future forward thinker, the revolutionary, is because it brings these sudden changes up out of the blue. It brings these sudden, moments up out of the blue for us to reflect on. So when Uranus goes retrograde, you might find you have health issues, or you might find you have, certain aspects or certain parts to yourself that you didn't know you had before. Or you might have those sudden epiphany, those sudden ideas on how to make your life better. You could have, these are the times where we might be reconsidering our job, and we're going inward and we're reflecting, and then we have that aha epiphany moment. I should be going this way in life, or I should be doing this in life. So that's what a Uranus, however you pronounce it, retrograde means. Now, what happens when Neptune, Neptune, I'm doing all the malefic planets first. Yes, I am. What happens when Neptune goes retrograde? Well, Neptune is all about when it's, stationing through the sky, it's going in its forward movement. That's when we realize our dreams, we might be caught up in, the fantasy of life. We might be caught up in, not really paying attention to what's going on behind the scenes. We're being more brought up into what's not in reality. But then when it when it goes retrograde, it's like all these things that Neptune has covered up come to the surface. It makes us reflect on the lies. This is where lies will come out, secrets will come out, things like of that nature. If we're lying to ourselves about something, we're inwardly reflecting on what we're lying to ourselves about. Like I said, there could be sudden truths that just pop up out of the blue. It's known as the Great Deceiver. So any curtain or mask that you have been wearing while Neptune was, going through the sky the right way, once it goes retrograde, it peels that curtain back and makes you really go inward and see reality for what it really is. See how your inner really reflects your outer. So what happens when Saturn goes retrograde? Well, Saturn, as it's making its way forward through the sky, you are really, depending on where it is in your chart and where these planets are in your chart, these are where these things will occur. But Saturn is that strict child. So wherever Saturn is in your chart, that's where you tend to be more stricter with yourself, more responsible with yourself. It's where you are serious, what you're really serious about, what you take seriously. So as Saturn moves through its transits, whatever happens, and it was in Capricorn, but now we just came out of Capricorn and it's going in to Aquarius. So whatever you have been working on in like when it was in Capricorn in its home, whatever you had been working on and you have been building up and you've been, really you've really been strict about it. You've really put your grind to the metal. Okay. And then when it entered, Aquarius, it's like, boom, you're like, oh my God, this isn't as put together as I thought it was. And it's like you're trying to reconfigure new ways to work what you have been working on, right? So now that it's going to go backwards, back into Capricorn, now you are, with Saturn going retrograde, you are being asked to take what you learned from Saturn in Capricorn and what you've learned from when Saturn went into Aquarius, and really take it in, really analyze it, really reflect on it, see if this is more productive for you or if this isn't productive for you. This is where, your Saturn rules work, it rules status. So you might be, reflecting on your status in the world, how you make your money, stuff like that. When Saturn goes retrograde, that's really brings to light, where we need to change things, where we need to be more stricter in our lives, where we need to add some self-discipline. So what happens when, when Jupiter goes retrograde? So as Jupiter is making its forward movement through the sky, depending on where it is in your birth chart, Jupiter is the planet that brings luck. Jupiter is the planet that brings expansion. Jupiter is the planet that brings spiritual awakening, spiritual enlightenment. It sees the bigger picture, right? So as it was going, in its forward motion, whatever, spiritual intake you were taking in spiritually, whatever you were expanding on in your life, whatever you were trying to expand in your life, now that it's going backward, it's like reeling that back in. It wants you to expand internally. So it's like you have to bring that into yourself. Retrogrades are all about the inner self, right? Not the outer self, not your outer world. It's about your inner world. So how can you expand yourself internally, spiritually? Jupiter retrogrades, you have a lot to do with spiritual enlightenment, with expanding your consciousness, with expanding what you believe. A lot of you might, when Jupiter goes retrograde, you might be rethinking your beliefs. Some old belief systems might fall away and new belief systems might come in. What you strongly believed before, you might not strongly believe in anymore. When Jupiter goes retrograde, you are taking in all that information that you got while it was direct. And when it goes retrograde, you're taking that information and you're taking it in internally. You're really reflecting on it. You're really thinking about it. So that's what Jupiter retrograde means. What does Mars retrograde? Mars retrograde. I don't think Mars is going retrograde for a while, but I am going to talk about Mars retrograde because this is a Mars video, or this is a retrograde video. So Mars is all about action. It's about taking action. It's about not thinking. It's about being brave. It's about going forward. It's about getting things done, just doing stuff off the whim, right? Just getting it done. Very, very motivated, right? So when Mars is direct and it's moving through the sky, wherever it is in your natal chart, you might be taking more action there outwardly. All right. You might be, if it's in your house of career, you might be really taking high action in your career, high steps in your career. If it's in your house of communication, you might be communicating more, talking more. If it's in your house of, health and daily routine, you might be, taking those steps, going to the gym, stuff like that. That's all outward action. So when it starts going retrograde, when it starts going backwards, we are really reflecting on the actions that we took. How did the actions that we were taking while it was direct, are those really the right actions we should have been taking, or do we need to reevaluate what our next actions are. It also can deal, Mars deals with the head, so, internally you could be in your head a lot. You could be really analyzing your actions and your actions over, the past couple of months when Mars was direct. So that's what Mars retrograde means. So let's talk about Venus retrograde. Retrograde Venus. So when Venus is moving through the sky, when it's direct and it's moving through the sky, like I said, it depends on where it is in your chart, how it affects you personally. But as it's moving through the sky, in a direct motion, that's the love that you're spreading to everybody else out in the world. That's you doing what you love. You're giving your love to people. You're doing what you love. It can be your values, what you values. You could be, revamping your house, your possessions, because it also does relate to that. You could be having fun, having good times, stuff like that. Okay, so Venus is all about the planets. It's about your love. It's about your love. It's about how you love, who you love, how you get and receive love, what's going on in your world. Do you love what's going on in your world? So when it's going direct, we tend to, gravitate towards what we love to do, who we love, what we love in our homes, how we love to make our money, stuff like that, right? Well, when it's in retrograde, when it's going back, we go inside and we think about where our self-value is. We reevaluate what we love, what's important to us, how we are in love, how we react to love, and how we can heal. Okay? How we can heal love. So that is like when Venus goes retrograde, we're really, questioning our own self-value, our own self-worth, the things that we love, the people that we love, how we give love. Are we in the right love situation? It's not only that, it's like, do I love the house that I'm in? Do I need to move somewhere else? Do I love the things that I have? Do I have too much things and I want to be more of a simplistic person? It's all taking it in and really reevaluating it. That's the energy that's being brought when Venus goes retrograde. Mercury. Oh my God. I think we all know about Mercury retrograde because it seems to have been the talk for years now. Lots of things happen during Mercury retrograde, and I think Mercury retrograde happens like 3 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year. It happens a lot. And when that goes retrograde, oh my God. Okay, so when Mercury is going forward, communications are good. All right. You're getting yourself out there. You're communicating the things online. You're getting things done online. Your computers, everything works fine. You're learning things. You're learning new things. It's all about knowledge and communication. So you're taking in all this stuff, right? And you're learning, you're trying to advance yourself, you're communicating, right? When it goes retrograde, it will mess shit up. It will shit up because it wants you to reevaluate your communication, how you communicate. It wants you to reevaluate what's important. It wants you to reevaluate how your time is spent. It wants you to reevaluate because we're also talking about daily routine here, right? Because Mercury rules Virgo, and it rules the sixth house of daily routine. So lots of things in your daily routine will get messed up because it wants you to rework and reorder things, restructure things. And it wants you to get more creative about it because it also does rule Gemini and the third house. So it wants you to pay attention to the fine details. When Mercury goes retrograde, a lot of people have computer problems. I have computer problems when Mercury goes retrograde, but I am technologically challenged. But computer problems will pop up. Communication problems will pop up. Like you might say something to somebody and you mean it a certain way, but they take it the wrong way. And this is to show you that there needs to be some new form of communication between you and this other person. This is where sibling issues can come up. Fights with siblings can come up a lot during Mercury retrograde because Mercury does rule the house of siblings. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it's really about like a lot of things go wrong not just during Mercury retrograde, but during a lot of retrogrades. And the reason why it does this, the reason why the planets do this, the reason why these energies, when they're in retrograde, tend to mess shit up is because when they're direct, everything is fine. It's chill. You're getting the hang of it. You're getting back on track, right? And just when you think you got the hang of it, just when you think you got it right, they go retrograde and they mess shit up to show you where the problems are, to show you where the leaks are, to show you what you need to change and transform from in your life. So that's the basics of these planets in retrograde. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions about this. I know that it's different for everyone. Like with Saturn retrograde, that's all about, reevaluating your own self-discipline. And it can be in any house. Like if it's in your first house, it's probably your self-discipline with what you eat, how you present yourself to the world, how you your identity. Your self-discipline is all about your identity. If it's in your first house, it's how you might come off as this strict person or this stoic person, this person that is very responsible. But when it goes retrograde, this is where you're not responsible because you are being forced to reevaluate your own self-discipline. And say it's in the house of, I don't know, say it's in the house of the seventh house, the seventh house of love and relationships. If you have Saturn there is a lot of strictness and coldness around your relationships because you are more disciplined in your relationships. You could be that person that has an older spouse or attracted to older people, because you need that discipline within yourself. And when it goes retrograde, it's like, boom, all fun times, but that's so that you can break up that monotony because you were so strict when it was going direct. Now you're breaking it up so that you can have fun and you can see where the flaws are in that area of life. So that was just an example, but like I said, it depends on where your planets are, what area of life that will affect. Like I have Venus conjunct Mars in my 10th house of status and career. Okay, so I love what I do. I love going on YouTube. I love making these videos. Oh, and I have a Leo midheaven too. So I just love to be out there and I love to talk and I love engaging with people, and that's something that I really like to do. And because Mars is conjunct that, I take action a lot, right? Well, when these planets go retrograde, it's like I reevaluate things. I reevaluate, like, how I'm doing my channel. Like last year when we had Mars and Venus in retrograde, I don't think I did anything on my channel because I was really reflecting on where I wanted to take my channel, what actions I wanted to take for my channel. So you can see that, like, you know, the retrogrades, even though they are feared, they are needed because it shows us the areas in life that we really need to change. It shows us what's not working anymore and what we need to evolve from. So, if this helped you in any way, shape, or form, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for clicking on. And I hope I made that a little bit easier for you. I hope I broke that down in a little bit more, because I know when you get an astrology reading, like when I first was like getting all into astrology and I had somebody read my chart, they're like, oh, well, you have Mars conjunct Venus in your 10th house, and then you've got this and this and this, and this is why you're like this. And it's like, I don't even know what that stuff means, but okay, yeah, you are kind of right. That is, you know. So I'm trying to do this without the aspects and without the big meanings. I'm trying to do it with just like the general meanings of this first, so that way you guys can kind of get the hang of it and a hang of the energies. But I will bump it up later on in the year. I will take it from basic to intermediate. So just know, retrograde is meant for you to retrograde, reflect, level up. Okay, grade up, reflect, grade up. I guess that's how I remember it. Anyways, I cannot wait until next week. Next week, I am going to be doing a video on the North Node in Gemini and what that means. So if you are interested in that, it's not going to be a part of this astrology learning series. It's just going to be talking about the North Node going into Gemini. And then I'm also going to do a Mars Venus, talk about what they're doing in the sky for May, because they are very, very connected. So if you guys want to hear about that, make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Make sure that bell is wiggling so that you know when I upload. And also, if this video helped you out in any way, please give it a thumbs up. I would very much love it. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions, and I will answer them for you. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be safe and be kind to one another, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye.